guys, what's up? Another edition of Nuclear Reactions. I was gonna do a normal show today, but I think it's pretty unignorable now that there's a lot of confusion about what definition of femininity as it pertains and as a reaction to masculinity. And I just want you guys to see and peer into female nature a little bit when these discussions come up, right? So yeah, first and foremost, let me all right, so you guys know where to find me. Linktree, Nuclear Galileo, that's all my stuff, all my links and all that stuff. So if you guys give me just 1 second, I'll be right back. All right, so guys, let me know if you guys can hear me in the chat. Put a one in the chat if you guys can hear me well. But anyways, guys, anyway, yeah. So I had to do the show a little earlier today because I got work stuff and my day kind of got flipped upside doing the show a little early. I am considering doing only one show a week, as I got a lot of things going on. I want to start taking classical piano lessons and all that, and I just want to have more time for social life and all that stuff. So anyways, guys, yeah, so topic of today's show, today will be a shorter show, but the topic of today's show is what defines femininity, right? So we saw this big internet argument between girls, women. Both sides represent an archetype of women. One is the princess archetype that gets spoiled. She looks outwardly feminine because she's pretty. She may or may not wear the traditional garbs of her country or whatever and all that. And also maybe the race of women, I think Lebanese or whatever, Pakistani, is already known for being feminine, right? So this is it's like she's outwardly feminine in appearance, right? A lot of guys would see that as, she is physically attractive, but she looks like a headache because she's very high maintenance. She requires a lot of financial investment. And that's not to say maybe emotional investment. We don't know emotional investment as well and all that, right? And then you have the other side of the chick that's a country girl. She gets down and dirty. She fishes. She hunts. She works on her house with her dad and all that, and so on and so forth, right? So there is a lot. There is a lot of discussion and argument about what femininity is, right? Especially the women, they're the ones arguing, right? And then the virtue signalers come out, the guys that want to convince everyone they're straight, saying, oh, if you don't like this, or if you like this, or if you don't like that, you're gay, right? So first off, I want to say, guys, that your preferences are your preferences, right? Personally speaking, I would smash both women, right? Let's be honest. Both women, if they were in my vicinity and I approached them and they were receptive to my approach, I would take them home, right? If I matched with either woman on social media, I would get with. All right, sorry, my mic got disconnected for some reason. I think I pulled on a wire or something. But anyways, guys, so the issue here is that first off, that women are discussing your personal preferences as a man, right? This is like female competition, and more, it's like women insert themselves into arguments about gender, right? So when you see one side of the aisle thinking that a princessy type girl that requires lots of financial investment is better, they're what they're saying is I'm better, right? They're inserting themselves into the character, the archetype that they're arguing for, because they see themselves as her, right? That's why women take the the red pill so personally, right? When we're discussing it, it's because they see themselves as any example of women, right? They could be happily married with kids, and if you say anything negative about women or saying that women to do this don't end up happy, even though they're happy and they've done everything right, they'll still get offended, right? Because they see themselves as the woman that's being discussed, the hypothetical that's being discussed, right? And on the other side, you have the other women that are like, hey, I'm a country girl and I get down and dirty and I'm like kind of a tomboy. So they see themselves in that girl, right? And it's just that's step one, right? When women argue for these things, they're just arguing for themselves. They're like, there's the innate female solipsism, right? Hey, I am like that girl, so I have to defend her because she is literally me, right? So, at the end of the day, that's what's happening, right? They don't really care. They're unable to see both sides of the situation, right? They just care about which girl represents me, and I got to defend her because she is literally me. So yeah, we got that covered. Number two, uh, your preferences as a man. Part of being your own mental point of origin, right, guys, is to not let people dictate what your preferences in women are. So if you like a certain type of women, then you like her, right? It doesn't matter what somebody 1,000 miles away opinion is, right? Um, and personally speaking, since I live in Texas, where like if you drive even 30 minutes north or any direction, you'll find a country girl, you'll find country people, people living in a rural setting. You can find these girls, but also you can find the other type, the princess type, the annoying princess type looks like, also because this is a major city, right? So Texas is special in that you can find both pretty close each other with each other. But I'll tell you right now, guys, like sincerely, if I was a guy and I matched either or both girls on Tinder, I would go with both. All right, as long as they meet an attraction floor and they're not fat, um, and they're pleasant to be around, at least on a date. Outside of that, I don't care, right? But on a date, then I would sleep with both women, right? And comes to my next point, the illusion of choice, right? Men are also jumping in on this saying, I prefer this or I prefer that. And the truth is that most men don't have the options um, to exercise choice, right? So they're just saying that to make themselves feel better and to ingratiate themselves with the type of woman that they want, right? I can totally look at both women and call out all the things that are wrong with them and all the things that are turn me off, right? Like um, the woman that's down and dirty and doing all these things and working and all that stuff, I could already tell that maybe, and having dated women like that, the hygiene ain't gonna be up to par, right? Like someone that's always wrestling in the mud and dealing with live animals and hammering and working all day and doing all this stuff, right? They're not always gonna smell girly and feminine, right? And a lot of guys don't think about that, right? I'm not saying it's not gonna be unbearable, right? But it's just something I've noticed. And this is why we're here to trade notes, right? So we don't just go on the internet and blindly defend women for no reason, just because it makes us feel good and so we can ingratiate ourselves with women that we'll never meet and they'll never have sex with us, right? And that's just one observation. There could be more, and I could be wrong, right? But it's just a logical thing, right? It's not that she's smelly. It's just like some guys come from cultures and places or are used to women that smell good all the time, right? That have, so you may lean more to the girly princess type. Um, and then on the other side, the girly princess type, those type of girls are also pretty annoying in their own ways as well, right? So what I'm doing right now, guys, is just knocking both girls off a platform, right, and giving you the real life experience of what it is to be with a girl like this. Um, I'm not saying I know every single archetype of girl, but I have had a girlfriend that was super country, and I've had dated girls that were super like princessy, and um, it's nothing special. They both respond to game. They both respond to being attractive and charming, right? There's no one that's gonna like, right? Obviously, everything's dependent on your environment, which brings me to my next point. So, environment basically is what dictates who a man sleeps with, right? If you live in a city, the woman woman will vary, right? Because you live in a city with different cultures, backgrounds, all coming together to live in one place, right? So, like, for example, in Dallas, there is a lot of Southeast Asian women, like a lot of Vietnamese women. I know where they're at. They're in Arlington, right? There's Koreans, they're in Carrollton. There's Indian and there's South Asian women. So that'll be in north like Plano, far north Dallas and stuff like that. There's Latinas, the poor Latinas will live in South Dallas, and the more well-to-do Latinas will live in North Dallas, Garland, Addison, and all that stuff, right? And Irving as well. Um, so all in all, um, you may be able to exercise preference, right? But that's very few men. The average man cannot exercise preference, right? And also the men can exercise preference. Sometimes we just don't want to deal with all the dating and like going through and being right. Sometimes we're just like, yeah, the woman I prefer is so rare that if I want to fulfill my sexual needs, I'm going to have to open my net a little wider, right? That means I may not want to end up with an Asian girl or a black girl, a white girl, or a Latina or whatever. But if she's attractive, I'd hook up, and maybe, she finds her way to my heart, and I just say, hey, she convinces me that, to open my heart and maybe pursue a relationship with her, right? That's what reality is for a man, right? This online pontificating about preferences and femininity, masculinity, blah blah blah. It's stupid. It's a waste of time, and it gets nowhere, right? I'm in the business of showing everyone what it really is based on my experience and plus what I've read, and also solutions, right? Like point, get us from point A to point B, right? And the truth is that what you're going to the women that you're going to date, hook up with, and have relationships with, and maybe eventually marry is a function of your environment, right? If you're in a certain country, if you like live in Puerto Rico, then you most likely will date and end up with a Puerto Rican woman because that's just what there is, right? If you're in Dallas, you're probably, and I tell my friends this, if you're Hispanic but you live in Dallas, you're gonna end up with a white girl or a Mexican chick, right? Because based on demographics, right? So these guys are like, I prefer this, I prefer that. It's just like you don't have the option simply because you're not attractive enough, or just environment, right? Now, are there cities where you can just have both? Like I said, yeah, Dallas, you could drive 30 minutes outside of Dallas and it's already rural area, right? Or you can go to the center of the city and go to a high-end event or club or a rooftop pool party, and you'll find girls that are like very materialistic and princess like, right? You'll find both very close with each other, but those are special um cases, right? Most southern cities are, you kind of have like Oklahoma City or Mobile, Alabama. You're not going to have a lot of the city type girls. There's just going to be country girls and girls that are less country. But Dallas is like a megatropolis, right? So uh, you'll find both. Um, yeah, just damn, bro. Just saw X accounts suspended. My account got suspended. That's news to me. I was just logged in. Anyways, probably gotta talk about someone else. Anyways, guys, just want to say hi to some people. We got Alex in the chat. What's up? We got Godspeed, Anis. We got Filipino working at CVS. What's up, man? We got Ocean Man. How you doing? Yeah. We got Dark Clouds. We got Opium. What's up, Opium? And all that. We got Governor. Hey, what's up, Governor? How you doing? But yeah, guys, it's just like, okay, so then now let's move on to what femininity is and what it isn't, right? So the reason I say that femininity, the definition of femininity is owned by men, right, is, there's several reasons. I say the first reason is because women depend. Let's go to the caveman days, right? Women depend on men for survival. Therefore, in order to uh, survive, women have to conform and meet men's standards in order for them to give them a reason to protect them, right? Now, obviously, most men protect women based on it's just a knee jerk reaction. We can't control it, right? But um, for the most part, women are innately designed to try to gain and fit in to men that they're attracted to or they deem as that they need, in order to survive, right? So um, both women are not. It's not that they're feminine or not. They're just a function of the society they're in, or this or the environment they're in, right? Um, and all that. So both women are kind of both women, whether they're feminine or not, right, is it basically boils down to how do you make the men around you feel, the men that you're attracted to, the men that the masculine men around you feel, not the herbivore men, not the men that defend you online, not the men that you don't know. I'm talking about the men in your life, right? And I can tell you right now, like, femininity is just it's supposed to elicit a certain feeling in a man, right? And that's what a lot of women don't understand. They'll argue, oh, this girl's more feminine because her hair's long and this like that. True, right? Part of femininity is how you look, right? If I saw a girl with a strong chin and some stubble or something or a mustache, I'd be like, ah, she's not so feminine, right? It does have a say in the equation, right? Appearance. But the thing is with femininity is that it's supposed to make me, the man, feel something, right? Women don't like this, right? Women don't like that their are or their femininity is measured by men, right? It takes away power from them, right? Because they want to convince themselves that they're feminine because whatever, they don't like. Again, remember when I said the other stream that women hate and are afraid of male standards, right? They do not want to step up to male standards, which is a lot of reason they're single and would rather just bang dudes or have many relationships or have relationships with guys they can control where they have the upper hand because male requirements scare them. It could mean the end of the relationship if they don't shape up or they don't meet a certain standard, right? So, just like I was saying, both women that are defending or denigrating the other side are see themselves in each of these chick, and that's who they are. They see that's me, right? They say, "Oh, that girl is me." So, um, you know, they don't want to include men in what defines femininity, right? Because to them, femininity is defined by them based on convenience, based on who they are already, not on based on how they make men feel, right? If that were the case, we'd all be very happy because women will be constantly asking us, "Hey, how do I be more feminine?" But they don't, right? Has any girl ever asked you, "Hey, how do I be more girly for you?" Unless she's like super in love with you, right? And you have her here, genuine burning desire, no regular woman asks you, "Hey, how do I be more girly?" And if they do, it's probably because they're on a podcast, they're under pressure, they got bright lights, and they feel nervous and they just want to get on with the show, right? So they don't like the fact that we measure femininity, but we don't measure it like we don't go around consciously and give women femininity scores, right? To us, it's more like how we feel. I'll give you an example. I was dancing bachata one night at my favorite rooftop dance place, right? And I met this Indian woman. She was pretty, right? She had no skin out, no cleavage. She was wearing traditional garbs, right? Like not like super traditional, but like stuff that Indian women wear out, but like it's not like for a celebration, right? Like very casual, traditional garbs, right? She looked very elegant. To me, that's I was like, wow, I was very impressed because women look in their traditional clothing from their country, they look really feminine, right? That's clue number one. So I asked her to dance, right? And she's never danced, but she had a big smile on her face and she was happy and joyful, right? Step number two, happy, joyful. Her appearance looked very feminine. Okay, we're getting somewhere, right? I'm pulling a string here. And then we were dancing, right? She let me lead the dance. Yeah, see where this is going, right? Um and not only that, uh while she was dancing, right, she was combining the dances of her people. You know how Indian people, South Asian people, their head sways, and that's how they talk, right? I don't know if you guys met South Asian people, but that's just the way they talk. They're like head sways, and they use their head a lot for talking, right? So she was doing her traditional dancing and mixing it with, and I was teaching her in real time how to dance bachata, and she was combining the both, right? And I was just under her spell simply because there were just so many things in place that made me, and it was not spell like, oh, I want to smash this girl. It was a spell like I was like, wow, that girl's awesome. Like it was just like a spell, right? It wasn't anything sexual. Like obviously she looked good, right? And obviously, if I went on a date with her, I'd have to push for sex, right? Because that's just how things. That's what you have to do as a man. But um, and during that whole encounter, all I got was a cascade of feminine. I don't want to say energy, but I have to say it now, like for lack of a better word, feminine energy, right? So while I was dancing with her, she was smiling, laughing, and then when the dance was over, she said, "Oh, thank you, I had fun," right? And that's just a microcosm or a small example of what femininity is and what it elicits in me, right? And that's how men measure femininity, is how we feel about the women, right? um a woman can look very feminine but she could be a huge bitch. She could turn away people, right? We men have to be the ones that gauge femininity, right? Because since we're in charge of your child that you're going to have, hopefully it's ours, right? But we have to make sure that that femininity is uh is showered onto the children, right? If only men that are very desperate or don't have options are okay with women being bitches and angry and having masculine or boyish traits, right? Now, is every boyish thing that a girl does bad? No. Like the country girl, you catching fish, sure. If I was a country guy, I'd be like, cool, I get to go out fishing with my wife. This will be fun, right? um and that's actually a plus, right? Because now you have you can do your hobby, and you like your wife. But obviously, if it's boys night, you do with your boys. But if it's a random Friday or whatever day, I personally like, hey, let's go out and catch some fish, or let's go work on the shed in the back, or let's go do something, something that I like to do. It's just nice to have her around. She understands my hobby. She can hand me tools and all that stuff, and all that, right? So essentially, that it's not the end of the world if a girl has a couple boyish hobbies, right? It's not. However, none of that what she's demonstrating, right, is femininity, right? Because femininity is an amalgamation. Oh, what's up, Sean on site? Nice to see you in the chat. Nice to see you. Hopefully, I think I am following you on Twitch. So, guys, go follow Sean on site on Twitch. He's my man. Not my man. He's my boy. Sorry, no homo. Sean said, Tomboys are gray. She has to understand women's nature and understand how women are. Yeah. So I'm just saying you can't lead with being a tomboy, right? To a man, right? For us, tomboy is just, oh, cool. She has some hobbies that we can both do together, right? Or she, and all that, right? But for the most part, true femininity is what you feel, how a woman makes you feel, right? And it's an amalgamation of different parts, right? But physical is the least important, right? Like just because a girl has the way she looks, right? Because my grandmother's feminine, she's an old lady, right? But when I go home, the same feeling that I get from a woman cooking and cleaning for me and taking care of me and asking me how my day was, and maybe like cleaning off my face, and fixing my tie before I go somewhere with her. It's the same feeling I get when I go home with my grandmother and she gives me a big hug and asks me, have I eaten? And you better eat. And she makes me a whole bunch of food and all that stuff, right? It's a feeling of you feel safe, you feel like you have someone that cares about you beyond themselves, right? And I will give credit to women that there are some women that understand this innately, and that's basically what it boils down to, right? Male expectations are very difficult for women, right? They don't like to talk about them. It makes them feel uncomfortable. They hate it. They fight it. There some women adopt a whole personality based around hating male expectations, aka like rad fams or like super feminists or whatever online. Their whole personality is they don't like male expectations, right? So um when we talk about this stuff, it makes them feel very uncomfortable. It's like Archwinger said in my post, it makes them feel very uncomfortable, very it makes us look like evil and that we're just trying to bring them down, right? The truth is we talk about this amongst other men, right? But at the end of the day, it basically it boils down to this, like um again, I'm going to say it, like it's how the woman makes you feel, right? I usually there are a lot of unfeminine women that look hot, right? That'll make you horny because they look good. They have nice, really nice body. They look sexually attractive, right? But there are a lot of unattractive women that are feminine, right? They're girly, right? These are like women that are older women, right? You ever go to you ever go to a cookout or anything where there's old women serving, or a restaurant or something, and she says, "Good morning, baby. You look tired. How can I help you?" Right? You see that kind of like, and you makes you. There's even memes about like, oh, when the old black lady at the restaurant calls me sugar or baby, right? And men like there's like men are euphoric when we receive that, right? The reason that's a meme, right, is because men are starving for this femininity, right? And the only women that show it naturally, right, or the not only women, but most women are the women from older women, like older, much older women, right? And I would say for fathers of daughters, they absolutely melt when they see their daughters do girly things, right? And they even want to do girly things with them, which is a little weird, right? Like I'm not gonna dress in a tutu and have a tea party with my daughter. I'll have a tea party with my daughter. I'm just gonna dress right. It's because men we respond positively to femininity, right? So that's basically it. Like if I met that girl and I saw her working on a house, and I'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool. Show me what you tools, like give me some tips. Like, it would be like a very male discussion, right? I wouldn't feel like she's feminine. I just feel like, oh, she's just cool. She's a cool chick. That's all, right? Same thing with the other princess chick, the other side of the equation. She'll be saying like, oh man, as a woman, I deserve this. I deserve that. I'm like, yeah, you're kind of bratty, right? Which is a female trait. But like I kind of want you on a podcast so I can kick you off so I can make money off you, or I want you to like tell me how crazy your standards are or something, right? And it's just like neither of those women, the way they present themselves, are feminine to me right now. Now we're talking about me, Nuke's preferences, right? To me, I can go to either woman's house, and then that's how I would gauge their femininity, right? Like if I visited those women and I saw the effect she had on other men, right? Like for example, um, if the men in her life who can do nothing for her, that's a way to gauge femininity in a woman, right? I think Rolo talks about this, where it's like one of the ways to vet women is to see how she treats men that can do nothing for her, right? Servers, guys that approach her, um, people that like where she goes to a service like a mechanic or a doctor or a nurse or something. People that really can't do anything for her, right? Or maybe unless you pay or anything like that. Those are the people who can gauge your femininity the best, right? Because it's not an exchange. And that's another big thing, right? You know how women say, oh, if he's masculine, then I'll be in my feminine energy. Femininity is not conditional, right? Obviously. Attraction obviously is, right? Girls tend to be more girly and all that stuff around men they're attracted to. But the baseline femininity is not a button that you push because you see a hot guy, right? Femininity it just is, Same thing with masculinity, right? I'm not more masculine because I'm around hotter chicks. I may act a little different. I maybe like turn up the charm a little bit, and I may be more relaxed because I'm very relaxed about hot women, right? But um, I don't decide to act masculine because there's women in my vicinity, right? Or yeah, women in my vicinity, right? I wake up and I don't know, I do 20 push-ups, then I pound a protein shake, then I go to the gym, then I come back and I take care of a whole bunch of problems from work, and then I fix something, right? And then I parallel park. That's a very masculine thing, and all that. Um, I run some game on some girls, right? Whatever. And those are things that I do besides the last one, right? But those are things that I do automatically. It's just who I am. There's no like conditionality on that, right? Now, obviously, if there's some alien invasion and I have to protect myself, and my testosterone will spike, and naturally, as a response, I'll probably become more masculine, right? I'll be more aggressive and all that stuff, right? Because men masculinity is always there, but it spikes, and this was why this conversation is so nuanced, right? Because People think it's like A or B, a binary one or zero, right? First off, femininity is an amalgamation of different things, including appearance. And appearance doesn't have to be sexual, right? My granny wearing an apron and her gray hair, right? And her smile and all that, and the way she walks and all that stuff, that's feminine, right? Nothing sexual. She's a granny, right? But it's her behaviors are of a woman, right? So there's a behavioral, physical part of it, right? The way she walks, the way she talks, that's all. It all comes together to be like, hey, I'm feminine. Now, are there toxic sides um, of each masculinity and femininity? Not really, right? Those are just words. Container toxic is a container word. There's just parts that are inconvenient, right? Me, the fact that I'm able to sleep with multiple women if given the option, and me not feel anything for those women is inconvenient to women, right? But it's convenient for me, right? The fact that women are hypergamous, and this is at a glance. Honestly, hypergamy benefits men the most, right? But um, hypergamy at a glance isn't convenient, especially for average guys that don't try, right? So we say, well, that's toxic femininity or whatever. And yeah, there are inconvenient parts of femininity, right? But understand that what made it inconvenient is the technology in the world we're in, right? Women have always been hypergamous, right? But now that we have technology that allows them to be openly hypergamous and be able to, choose from a larger pool of men, now that part of women is bad, right? Even though it's not their fault. It's just the way they are, right? And then for women, like now that I have access to multiple women, not as much as you, not as much as women, but I do get by, right? Um, Now that's inconvenient for women, but that's due to technology, right? If I was born in the 80s, I would probably have a body count of 5 and they can get married and be happy, right? That's just the way it is. We both were given godlike powers and we don't know what to do. Everyone thinks they know what to do, but we don't know what to do, right? So at the end of the day, um, when it comes to femininity, it's not perfect. It's not like this perfect angel like thing that men envision where it's like a woman in white clothes that's perfect and an angel that comes from the sky that heals all. That's a fantasy, right? Same thing with women. We're now a knight in shining armor that just come in, throw you on our horse and take you off to the sunset and you'll always be happy, right? That's not how that works. So in terms of femininity, who gets to define it? Yes, men define femininity because we're the ones that feel it. Now a lot of women are like, um, hey, um, well, that means that women get to define masculinity. Here's a problem with that, right? When women define masculinity, they can only do it in the parts. They can only do it in a way that benefits them, right? So if you ask women, hey, what do you like in a man, or what's masculine in a man, they'll say like, oh, he takes care of other people. That benefits women directly. He he's caring, he's loving, the comfort stuff, right? The comfort side of hypergamy, the beta buck side of hypergamy. He makes a lot of money. He's, all these things that kind of like benefit her uh directly, right? Money, comfort, all that stuff, right? Um, but a lot of them won't talk about like, oh, incredibly violent, you know, men are able to, like, if some men say like, oh, I'm a pacifist, I'm like, yeah, you're a pacifist now, but like if things were popping off at your front door, you get violent really fast, right? If someone was threatening your mother, your daughter, your son, your brother, you get violent pretty fast, right? You pull out that 9 without even thinking about it and start shooting, right? Because men, that's just who we are. We're able to get violent very fast, right? So the reason that men both own the definition of masculinity and femininity is because both men and women, we both rely on men for our survival, right? Like when I go out and I go to these places like for work and I see the infrastructure of society, whether it be an airport, a cargo airport, or a corporate building, or a food processing plant, or a warehouse, or wherever, right? Where was I at? Where am I going? Where was that the other day? Like, where I was at Lockheed Martin, where jets are made, right? So when I go to these places where impossible feats like creating one of some of the most powerful weapons man has ever known, and it's 99% men in there building those jets, right, and flying them and testing them. Um, you know, I recognize that that's masculinity, right? Problem solving and all that, right? Whereas women, uh, they also rely on men, right? So they can tell you certain things about masculinity, but they just can't define it concretely, right? They can only define it in what benefits them, right? They don't understand. Like for example, let me give you an example. Let's say you're building your girl a table or a garden, or you're building her something, right? You're using your creativity, your problem solving skills, spatial awareness, because men have better spatial awareness and all that stuff to build her a table, right? And strength, right? Because you need to lift the boards and move it around and all that stuff, right? Um, and your wife's like, oh wow, you're such a man because you build me stuff, and she brags to her friends, oh, my husband's so manly, right? Those same skills that you use to build your wife a table or a garden, or something, build her something, a treehouse or whatever, right? Those same skills, when you use them to build, I don't know, to play a video game and build something like, let's say, City Skylines, or build a Lego set, or build something, or like, use that creativity in a video game or something. She sees that as childish, right? She'll like, oh, why are you building, why are you playing this city builder game or the sandbox game? You've been at it, you go outside, or, like, why are you so childish, right? Why are men who play video games so childish, right? And do you see that the same skills that it took for me to be creative and come up with stuff and be spatially aware and all that stuff in order to build you a table, to build you a garden, to fix your car, to go to work and make money, are also, I use to build a computer so I can game, so I can do stuff within that game, so I can just fool around with the guys and all that stuff, right? Right, because if you want to hang out with you guys, you need logistical skills and set up activities to hang out with the boys too, right? She won't like that, right? And that's why women cannot own the definition of masculinity, right? Because they can only define it and what uh, benefits them, right? Whereas men, we're like, hey, I get it. I get why they say Saturdays for the boys. I understand that guys that are creative and have ingenuity, they'll be able to build a table or a sword or something in real life, right? Or fix their car, and in a video game, they'll be able to like build a city, right, or something like that. We understand that those skills, what innately makes a man, is based on those innate traits within us that every man has to an extent, right? That women don't really have as much. Um, and then for femininity, like I was saying before, it's something that we feel, right? It makes us want to protect you. It makes us want to take care of you. It makes us want to be around you. It makes us feel safe and protected, not physically, right? But like almost emotionally, like, right? Like I got somebody that's in my corner, somebody that, I would protect physically, right? And I'd be her rock, right? But that's based on not looks, not reproductive value, based on more, hey, this woman is worthy of, of sacrifice, right? And that's the biggest problem with defining femininity for women, right? Because they say femininity is this, femininity is that. And honestly, it's just like, do you know any men that would sacrifice for you, right? Their life, their well-being. Because that is the end goal of femininity, is to get men to sacrifice their well-being for you. And you may say, well, there's plenty of simps and there's plenty of men that'll marry anything and do anything, right? Yeah, but those men are out of options, right? They're doing it. Their hand is forced. Like a man with multiple options and can say, hey, I'm going to be single, be a player forever, and can actually pull it off, right? And or a man that's like married, but he's got women surrounding him and all over him, right? Um, those are the men that are that gauge femininity, and women hate that, right? And that's why they get so bitter and they come online and fight and argue. It's because they know innately at the end of the day, the men who receive femininity, the desirable men, those are the gauge of feminine women, right? And that's it, guys. It's really that simple, right? And we as men also own the definition of masculinity, right? Because men also depend on other masculine men, right? So we have to understand that, like, hey, when you're picking people for a baseball game or a volleyball game or a basketball pickup game, you're gonna want to get the tallest dudes or the fastest dudes, right? Or the most skilled, because we understand that those innate things right? Male competition, which is a part of being a man, which women see as silly sometimes, male self improvement as well. We understand that those things are extremely vital to our success as a species, right? But women don't understand that at all, right? Unless they're competing for them. So again, don't get caught up in these little discussions. Let the women have their little, like little discussions and all that. But at the end of the day, you as a man, you own femininity, right? If you're a desirable man, if you're a loser, then no one cares, right? But if you're a desirable man, you own the definition of femininity, and they hate that. That's on them, right? Who cares? Sorry. Welcome to real life. Um, but let me see if there's any comments, anything to address. Guys, send a super chat if you want to support the channel and all that. All right. Let's see. Sean on site. I might be in Dallas tomorrow. Yeah, DM me on Twitter if you're gonna be in Dallas. No way we can meet up. I might. I think I'm off tomorrow, but I'm not sure, 100% sure yet. But I should be good. My man, Ayo Paz. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. I'm in my boy, like my man's, like my homie. But whatever. Let me tell you, it's been yeah, country girls are great, right? And I'm sure most Lebanese women are pretty awesome. If they like you, they probably treat you good too, right? But we're getting like uh psyop using male attention and male simpery to make money, country girl, and we're princess, psychotic, insane Lebanese chick. Those neither of those women are good representatives, right, of what a country girl is, right? I've dated and met country girls. They have their faults. They can be hoes too. They're not, and I've met foreign girls that are little princesses, and they also can be good, and they have their faults, right? It's all like, for me, it's just like there's two girls that are on my program and girls that are not. Don't care about any girls outside. I'm busy. I don't got time to think about what other girls that I'm not having sex with or going to have sex with are doing. Not my problem, right? So, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is especially when they call it sugar, baby, sugar, and darling. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, we own the definition of femininity because when we go to a place where there's an old granny or an older black woman, she calls, "Hey, baby, what can I get you, darling?" or something like that. Men melt inside. We're just like, "Wow, that really made my day," right? We liked that's femininity. That is femininity, right? Masculinity is different, right? Masculinity, we walk in and a guy gives us a hard time. We're like, man, I can trust this guy. This guy has a sense of humor. He doesn't, he ain't full of shit, right? That's masculinity, right? If I walk into the same restaurant that the old black lady called me baby in, and a guy comes in, it's just like, and he makes fun of me, like, hey, don't has anyone ever told you look like him? And then he has a laugh, like, relax, man. I'm just giving you a hard time. What would you like? I'd be like, this guy's kind of funny. I trust him, right? And you see how the difference is, right? I think most people understand this, right? But Twitter, X, whatever, is kind of stupid. So yeah, sugar, yeah, yeah. Made my day when I was 21. A 57-year-old black woman kept giving me compliments. Made my day. I'm 38. I still, yeah. And it's like we remember that forever, right? We got Red Pill Mayan. Yo, new, great to see you stream again. Lots of love. Yeah, man. Sorry, I gotta cut this one short today, guys, because uh, you know, I got responsibilities and things to take care of. But I think Thursday's show is gonna be a banger. I'm gonna actually go in. I'm gonna go in hard on pause again. I'm gonna go hard on Thursday's show. So yeah. Women protect us spiritually, emotionally, I believe. That's why men want to vent and feel hurt when they are shut down. Yeah, but like not to the women you're sleeping with. Like, maybe to your mom, your grandma, your sisters, but not. It is interesting how oblivious someone are as to the necessity of men for basic comforts, quality of life. Yep. And it's also interesting how little we care that they don't really value us. Like what I do supports the data infrastructure of the world, right? Of especially of Dallas, but also of major worldwide companies, including like Microsoft and Dell and Lockheed Martin and all that stuff, right? Um, But I don't come home every day and I'm like, I'm such a great contributing member of society. I'm just like, man, I'm glad work's done now. I can do whatever I want now, right? And I think, man, just we as long as we get a paycheck and maybe a little bit of respect and a tiny bit of admiration at work, we're all fine. So hey, we got a $10 super chat. Thank you, sir. You get one of these.
Thank you so much, best friend.
Alex Patiño with a $10 super chat. Cheers, salud. Gracias, amigo. Or how they say in Mexico, compay. No, we say compay. You guys, wait. You guys say compa in Dominican Republic. We say compay. In Puerto Rico too, we say compay. So gracias, compa. Top G Nuke. Thank you, sir. You get one of these back to back.
Thank you so much, best friend.
All right, the homie Matthew W with the 199 super chat. Top G Nuke. Thank you. Well, it looks like Andrew Tate's going to go to prison for a long time, so I might as well step in as being the resident red pill misogynist or something or whatever. Yeah, ain't no girl perfect. Nope, and I don't want her to be. Going hard. Sorry. Jesus Christ. But anyways, guys, that's all I have. I gotta get ready for work. But thanks for bearing with the time change, and we'll be back to 7 here soon. But hopefully that clears up, and guys, it causes a better discussion, right? And let the girls kind of argue with their little bullshit femininity takes. Remember, like I said, they see themselves in these women, and they're just like, she's just like me. I gotta defend her because she's literally me, right? It's like, no, like, that's not how arguments work. You can't insert yourself as part of the argument, right? Unless you verbally say, hey, I see myself in this person, blah, 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 and all that, right? So you guys know where to find me. Lunar Claudio, Linktree. Follow me on Twitter. About to hit 11,000 followers. Thanks to you guys, so I appreciate it. And guys, if you have any ideas for shows, comment below, like and subscribe. If you want to become a member, hey, that's great too. Support the channel. Patreon, I just posted another essay and all that. The chat's open on the Patreon. I'm going to take a look at the chat later. And if you guys have any questions or anything, it's only $5 a month and all that, right? And I am thinking about doing a $10 tier and having a just one big meeting a month where it's all dudes and we just talk about dude stuff. If you guys want to talk about anime or girls and make jokes and just be yourselves, I'm considering it. If you guys would like that, please let me know. And yeah, we just hang out, show up, and we just hang out, talk about shit and our problems and all that, and just be dudes, right? Probably make it an hour and all that. Maybe even twice a month, right? So yeah. Anyways, guys, that's all I have. I appreciate your guys' time, and remember, femininity. That's we own that definition. So have a good night, guys.
At the station, I just gonna take it.